I've come to realize that it's only men who love purely. Well, I mean, he's talking about like marriage or long-term relationships and the fact that women, a man can, like she was saying, like a man can do something and then that kind of puts her off. It gives her the ick, as the kids say. And then suddenly it's like, okay, right, it's over. I'm not feeling it anymore. And that, yeah, you're right. That is a problem. But there are also women that do love very, very deeply, and they love for a long time, and and they will give guys actually more leeway than you might think. It's not just this. It's all about value, right? At the end of the day, it's everything's a value exchange. So her value maybe is her looks and the way that her body and her physicality, and then to do with her the way she comes across, her personality, whatever, etc., as well. But your value is a lot more, as a guy, is a lot more like nuanced than that. There's a lot more strands to it. Okay, but if you're presenting as high enough value in the first place, then she is gonna, and like Sakania even kind of alluded to towards the end, she is gonna let you off. It's not like it's just this right, you've done one thing and you're out the door, if she has the feels for you enough already. And this is why I think, in spite of everything she said, I still believe the most important thing, or at least one of the most important things, one of the key things really to work on, is the vibe, is the riz, is the kind of the chemistry that you create when you're sat in front of her. Okay, because that's the thing often that will really turn the dial. And she was telling the story, she talked about it on the Fresh and Fit show before, where she was with a guy, and on paper he was ticking all the boxes, right? Decent looking, good job, earning money, whatever. And they were meant to get engaged, and she ended up calling it off, right? And why? Because she explained, because he didn't have that sort of that dominant edge that she was looking for, which coincidentally is, well, not coincidentally, is the reason why that course that I run with James Tusk is called The Edge, because what we're teaching, what we're attempting to convey to the students on that course is this other bit. Because people come to this space and they think, okay, right, so it's all about self-improvement, I've got to get jacked, I've got to get a 12-pack, I've got to earn 6K, plus, sorry, 6 figures plus, I've got to, do all these things. And yes, all of those things are great, but as has just been demonstrated by that conversation, you can have those things and you can still get kicked to the curb anyway, or not even selected in the first place if you don't have the other element. And I would say, I mean, look, I don't know. I would say the most important element really is the interpersonal thing. It's the vibe. It's the chemistry. It's how you guys feel together. The other stuff you can kind of figure out, because if you find a good woman and she's going to stick with you, one thing I didn't ask her, but I think she said the other night, was there are women out there who will, even if, say, there's a period of time that you're not earning as much as you could be, and you're transitioning into some other kind of business, or you're doing something different. There are women out there who will support that for a period of time. They may not do it forever, but if she loves you, she is, but the reason that she's going to love you ultimately is down to the chemistry, right? It's that desire that you have inculcated by the way that you come across to her. All right. So I would say that is an extremely important thing to work on. That's what we teach in the more like in the game space, if you like. And then the other stuff, yes, you should be working on at the same time, sort of independently, but you want to be working on the stuff anyway. You want to be working on your career. You want to be working on, the way that you look, your fitness, being in shape, being well dressed, all of that stuff, right? You're doing that partly for the dating side of things. You're also, frankly, doing it for yourself as well, right? Because, you want to be in good health. You want to be in decent shape. You want to have a good life. Like whether you get the woman or you don't get the woman, if you got money, you've made some money from doing something or being in business or, getting a great job, great. You can then, do some cool things yourself, okay? So, and I suppose that kind of a little bit leads into this idea about being happy regardless, whether she's here, whether she's with you or she's not with you, you can still do your own thing. You're still cool. You've got yourself sorted out. You've got a great life anyway. She is the complement to your life. She is the icing on the cake. She isn't the cake, if that makes sense. Put comments in the chat. Please give me a like as well. We've got 28 people on here now. So, give us a like, because it really helps with the algorithm. Good show, says SJ. Thank you, much love. Yeah, I mean, I've known her I've met her a few times on different podcasts. We've kind of been in contact a bit about doing something, and we were on Fresh and Fit the other night, so I thought it'd be cool to, because actually, as I said in the stream, if you watched the stream yesterday that I did, if you haven't watched it, watch it after this. It's or have a look through it. It's the last live that we did before this one. We kind of reacted to Fresh and Fit that I was on and she was on, and actually the story that she told about her ex fiance or ex partner, I think, was one of the most interesting moments actually in that show. And it was a 5-hour show, so there, you know, there was a lot to choose from, but it was real insight into sort of female sexuality and how women select, right? How women select men. You know, it's this very nuanced thing. What are you doing with her tomorrow? Smash? No. No, we might be doing some other content. That's all. It's purely professional. All right, SJ. So this is a good question. So, what's your approach to dating and fine dining? I guess that you qualified her. Well, I guess after you qualify. Well, when you say qualified her, do you mean slept with her, or I mean, like, basically the standard advice is always, and has been for a long time, you shouldn't really be going for dinner on a first date. You shouldn't really, and certainly not an expensive, you know, taking her to some super fancy place. Ideally, you want to leave that until after you guys have been intimate. You know, once you guys are sort of together, she's like a girlfriend, or not even a girlfriend, but, you know, even if it's casual, whatever, and you want to go to a cool spot, that's absolutely fine. Ideally, you want to leave it until after intimacy. But, you know, I mean, in this whole game, there are no hard and fast rules. Okay. I mean, there are various reasons why it may not be the best idea to take her to somewhere expensive, you know, before you got together. Because it might just be she's looking for a free dinner. Okay. It might be that you go, and especially if you've like met her on a dating app, you don't know what the vibe's going to be like, and you don't really get on, and suddenly you're down 300 pounds, and you know it was a waste of time, whatever, right? Also as well, restaurants are not always, depending on how it's laid out and how the table is and stuff, it's not necessarily always the most seductive place, because often you have to sit opposite her. The tables, particularly like in London, the tables are all quite close together, so you've got people talking on the other side. It's sort of like, you know, it's good to go to a nice lounge bar. You can sit on a sofa together. You can kind of put your arm around her, whatever, right? You can get that vibe going more easily often in like a lounge bar or something. So there's that as well. Having said that, rules are there to be broken. Now, I was talking to Fresh about this the other day, actually, because after the show on Monday, I went off to film something with him, and he was talking about this, and he was saying, well, look, you know, like, you've got the red pill, but he said, listen, I'm aware of that stuff, but I do what I want to do, right? If I want to go to a cool place and I want to take the girl with me, and, you know, then I'll do that. But it's because he wants to do it. It's not, and that's the thing. It's about the mindset as much as anything. It's not that he's trying to sort of impress the girl to try to get her into bed by taking her to this super fancy restaurant. It's just that he might want to go to the super fancy restaurant, and, you know, the girl's down, and cool. And he doesn't really care whether he gets with that girl. And he's very chill as well. He's like, you know, he doesn't care, right? I get with her, I don't get with her, I don't care, whatever, right? I'm just living in the moment, living my life. If you've got that kind of energy, that's a slightly different thing. So I have sort of softened my approach to this a little bit over the last year or so, and I have been on some dates with girls, and we've been to, you know, some restaurants and things like that, and you know, it's been fine. You know, things have progressed, and it's been. I don't feel like I've been used just to buy her a meal. That's not happened. Like, the experiences have been good. So, you know, you can do it, but I would say, certainly for the first date, it's kind of good to not do it if you can, just to make sure that, you know, you guys gel and there's a good vibe there. And if you're inexperienced with this stuff, you know, you don't want to be like taken for a ride by somebody who literally is just looking for a free meal. I mean, that's not a good energy. Certainly after you guys are dating, like the other night, because it was my birthday, it was me and my girl, and we went to a really, really fantastic restaurant in Mayfair in London. It was actually before the Fresh and Fit show. Fantastic looking place, just amazing looking place, great food. Fairly expensive. I don't drink, so that kind of reduces it a bit, but you know, relatively expensive. It was great. It was fantastic, right? And obviously I paid, and I'm happy to do. It was my birthday, but obviously I paid. Happy to do that because, you know, it was great for her to have her there, and we had a great time, right? That's absolutely fine. I don't think that you should be doing it to try and impress people or to try and buy people, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, it's nuanced, but hopefully that makes some sense. Hopefully you know what I'm saying here.